Good morning and welcome to the dialogue this morning. My name is Prince Apollo, and it is that time when we sit to look at the big events of the week. Quite a very busy week, and so many events, but we'll be specifically looking at the case of former KCCA bosses who were arraigned in court yesterday and remanded to Luzira prisons over alleged criminal negligence in handling the issue of the Chitezi landfill, where 35 people lost lives and several others were injured after garbage collapsed. And the trial, including the former executive director Dorothy Chisaka, the deputy executive director David Limbazi, and the director in charge of public health Daniel Okero, were charged with 57 counts of manslaughter and several other charges. They denied the accusations or the offenses, and they were sent on remand until October 4th. We will be interrogating the trajectory this case is taking, especially looking at talking about whether the victims will can get justice, but of course also looking at whether government officials can pick lessons from this particular case. But also we will have time for the case that was in court this week also, specifically the General Court Martial, where National Unity Platform supporters pleaded guilty on serious charges of terrorism. The offenses they have for almost 4 years refused to accept, but finally they pleaded guilty, and we'll be looking at this issue of the guilty prayer, whether it has now become a tool to settle political scores, or looking also at its impact on the judicial landscape in this country. My name is Prince Apollo once again, but I've been joined by the panel, regular panelists, Richard Baguma Tinkasimire, communication expert, and also Dr. Gerard Werihe Wanzara, a public policy researcher, but also an associate lecturer at Uganda Management Institute. We will be pleased to hear from you. You can send in your comments and observations later in the program. But let me introduce my panel. I'm always privileged to have you open this show. Dr. Gerard Werihe Wanzara, speak to our viewers.
Yeah, good morning, our viewers. I'm happy to be here as always, and I thank God that He has kept us safe and alive. That is very important. Of course, special greetings to my colleagues in the studio. I'm glad to see you
the
alive.
Republic, huh?
Yes, I bring you special greetings from the United Republic of Chirinya.
Wow.
The seaport is progressing well. In Bukasa.
How was the week? How was the week, Doctor?
The week was not bad. Interesting, with so many stories. What caught for me more attention is the neighbors in Kenya. I think setting a precedent of seeing a deputy president being impeached, and of course also trying to play gimmicks of running to the hospital to delay and say no right to administrative justice. For me it was interesting to see their systems being practiced, leaving other factors.
The systems are under test. They are facing a serious test.
Absolutely. Because it has been unprecedented. The constitution they are using now is of 2010 that introduced impeachment, and this is the first time they are testing it. And I think there are challenges usually when you are testing for the first time, but it is good to test them.
Good.
Because I see in Uganda the Articles of the Constitution we haven't touched since 1995. So it would be good to see how systems work. And then when you cross over it, then you know that the country is gaining the resilience for stability.
Wow. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show, Dr. Gerard. And Richard Baguma, it is always with profound honor and privilege to have you on the dialogue.
Yeah, I'm also very profoundly privileged that the Almighty, all-powerful, all-authority holder, God, is also the all-merciful,
True.
the all-forgiving. And I think it's for that mercy, that forgiveness, that despite our many transgressions, we are back here. Like Dr. Ulrike says, healthy, at least the previous checks say we are, and safe, apparently, until things, a choose comes out. And so I thank God for that. I also am, of course, always glad to be here with the team.
All right.
And the viewers, Apollo, the viewers, the listeners. I cherish them a lot. I really thank them. The animated responses we get, I think we must appreciate that people commit their time and whatever other resources and follow us.
And how was the week?
It ended on a high note. Last evening, we went to a place up there in the hill. There's a hotel in the hill there in Makindi. And one of my colleagues, whom we were with from we didn't really attend kindergarten, but there was we were writing in the sand, and it was called church school. So before you go to primary school, they would gather us at some mud and water structure, which was owned by the church, and would go there and write in the sand. We didn't have blackboard and things. And now, you know, so those colleagues, and then the ones with whom we joined primary one on the same day. We are talking about many years ago. So one of us, and they are in high places, so one of us had a birthday. And he convened us. And it was way, way hilarious.
Wow.
It was very, very interesting. Some are MPs, ministers, and generals and things. But, you know, we could remember the stories of that time, the people who were susuing on the bed.
Really?
It was hilarious. So you needed to see our wives and some children looking at us because they see us in a different light. So it ended on a very high note for me.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't mention the names, but certainly I wish him a very, very happy birthday.
You certainly had a very good
Yes, and I used to thank him for, because sometimes he watches, I thank him for the contribution he's making to this nation.
Good. Thank you so much, Richard Baguma Tinkasimire, and I'm also privileged to have on the show this morning Dr. Sylvia Namubiru Mukasa. Sylvia is a lawyer, but also the executive director for legal. It is LASPNet,
Legal Aid Service Providers
Legal Aid
Network.
Service Providers Network. Speak to our viewers before we kick off the show.
Thank you, Apollo, for hosting me this morning.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be back in the studios of Salt TV, and also I'm glad to be back on the panel with these eminent men of Uganda, Dr. Ulrike, Mr. Baguma Senior. I'm happy to be here.
Wow.
And of course, good morning to all the viewers, and thank you for keeping on this platform, because we get to learn much when we share experiences. My week did not begin well, so well.
Sure.
Yes, so it has been a little bit tough, and I was actually juggling to say whether I come for Apollo's talk show or I proceed to Tororo for burial. Yeah, we are burying one of our colleagues who has been the board representative of the Central Region, Miss Council Imera. Imera Prosi Oidui, who passed on late Wednesday. Yes, so we've been in the burial arrangements, and the burial is tomorrow, so I'll be traveling immediately after here.
Oh.
May her soul rest in eternal peace.
May
We
her soul
commiserate
rest.
with the family.
Well, Dr. Sylvia Nambiru is the Executive Director for Legal Aid Service Providers Network, and you
Actually,
advocate
I'm the
for...
Chief Executive Officer. That is the title we use.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You advocate for legal aid,
Services and
legal aid services for all people.
No, for the poor, vulnerable, and marginalized. But of course, as we speak access to justice, as we speak human rights for all, yeah, everyone gets in there in our advocacy work.
Thank you.
But purposely for the actual support legal services we offer for the category called poor and vulnerable or marginalized.
That's a crucial service that you offer there. Well, let's kick off the dialogue this morning with the arraignment and remand of top former KCCA officials, Dorothy Chisaka, David Luyimbazi, and Daniel Okero were sent on remand on 57 charges, including manslaughter in relation to the tragedy at Chitezi landfill. I will start with you, Dr. Gerard Werewansala. We talked about this issue after it happened, and when the new these top officials of KCCA were sacked and replaced by an interim interim leadership, and here we are. They are now on remand, and the question I'll be asking you is whether you still have hope that the victims of Chitezi will ever get justice, and number two, whether the officials who are in government offices have lessons to draw from this particular incident.
Thank you very much, Apple. First, I want to believe that when you're given a public office, there should be a mechanism for you to account. Accountability means that you are responsible for your actions, and therefore you also take responsibility for something that goes wrong. But as we debated here weeks back, we saw a number of things that went wrong. Issues of alleged corruption, that there was a budget every year that was supposed to help in leveling, pressing and leveling the garbage to ensure that they are not in a condition that will make the people who are there in the neighboring community, vulnerable, like even leading to loss of lives. But issues of accountability for that money were really a question. That's one of those things that were taken to the Inspectorate of Government for investigation. But also the biggest issue there was the issue we reflected on about the budgeting. We saw that studies have been carried out in Chitezi since 2013. Some were academic, we saw some media practitioners going there to try to write stories about what was likely to happen. We saw an appeal from the political wing of the KCCA for the budget to be provided for decommissioning Chitezi and then getting an alternative place for dumping the garbage. All this was not done. And so when you apportion the responsibility, there is that responsibility that the team at KCCA had, especially the technical wing, especially in relation to utilization of the money that they were given to do the work, and probably it was not being done, and probably not sounding the alarms loud enough, and becoming accomplices in hiding the problem because they are benefiting from it. And the other responsibility goes to the supervisory part of it, the office of the president, plus, of course, the executive who do the budget. If such a problem is likely to happen, it has a public health implications. People could die, and then people appeal for over 10 years for funding, but you don't provide. And then people see you spending, on different things that do not concern the, the public, that are not used for the public. So, while I agree that these guys should pay at least some price, because we lost lives, and actually it was embarrassing that no one even came out to say, I'm responsible and probably let me resign, or I take public interest. Just making a statement. It never occurred. Everything moved as though it was normal. So for me, one, it is a lesson to those holding public office. But it is also a lesson to the politicians who are in charge of budgeting for this country, in terms of where are we placing the resources. If it is good, we need security, and money is there, classified expenditures and so forth. But also, is there enough accountability that that man is doing what he's supposed to do, and say that other priorities are also catered for? If we are placing 160 billion Uganda shillings as presidential donations to give out, donate cars to the bishops, to donate, are we also mindful that garbage is now a crisis, not only in Kampala? If you go to other, what we are calling cities, they are having a similar problem with the garbage. In fact, they are so bad off that for them, even staffing level is below 50%. They don't have the budget. They're just dumping wherever they find. So, can we go back and we review our priorities?
Okay.
But as people in public offices, of course, you know that, I always laugh. Lately, I see even some politicians who say, Mzee loves me so much, and told. There's nothing that like love in a public office. Today, you are appointed. If something goes wrong, you know that you'll carry your own cross. And for me, these KCCA leaders are carrying their own cross, and accountability for me is very important.
They are carrying their own cross. But in your submission, Dr. Gerard, you also speak about failure by policymakers to provide the necessary funding for this particular priority issue of Chitezi, when actually the information was available as early as 2015 that Chitezi is a potential risk. I mean, it's a serious risk. Are you saying that possibly they don't share, take the whole blame? They well may share the blame. They have a question to answer, but there are possibly other people who should be maybe also arrested and charged and facing these charges?
Of course, when it comes to the politicians, it is a little bit hard, because you know that the executive is headed by the president. And as you see here, people appointed ministers, but quite a number of them in reality do not influence anything. They hold the titles, they come and launch things, they also get entangled into deals, okay, to make money, but in terms of influencing the budget, some of them cannot. So for me, while it would be important that we hold some people accountable from the executive side, I don't see that happening. In fact, what I may predict is that these people who have been arraigned before court could stay there for 1 or 2 weeks, get bail, and eventually these cases may take a long time, and eventually we may fail to incriminate them, even when there is evidence, and it will go. Ugandans will forget, and something else will come up, and then we jump on that. But my appeal is, we got, through the KCCA Act, we got Kampala, and we placed it under the office of the president. The president used to say, these guys in local government, the way KCCA was running at the time, that they were not delivering the services. And therefore putting it under his office and creating an authority that would improve service delivery. There was also a deliberate kind of separation of powers between the roles of the technical wing and the political wing. But what we continue to see at KCCA, which is actually rendering it very, very dysfunctional, is again the continued clash. That you, when you are given a position of executive director with your technical wing, you cannot even disclose any information relating to contracts, procurement, to the Public Accounts Committee of KCCA. And all these are structures within the law that are supposed to monitor, to check each other, to create the efficiency. That also, when you are the political wing and you appoint probably the Kampala Land Board, and then the land issues also, you find they are also dealing privately, and then nobody else is supervised. You know that the head of the land in the KCCA is in prison for corruption also, and is appointed by the political wing. So I think, one, we need to ensure that these structures work. Then two, we also ensure that the supervision with another eye is also strong. But also we need the commitment from the president and the line ministry to ensure that the Kampala problems are prioritized.
Good.
We are talking about garbage, but there are so many other
issues. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for that submission. Let me hear from Richard. Richard, I remember when we were discussing the Iron Sheet saga, you came out clearly and you made it clear that this was just for the cameras. I remember that was your opinion. You said they will arrest some few ministers, they will take them to court, they will take them to Rosira, and finally the case will die slowly. And here we are. We have top officials of KCCA being arraigned in court, almost the same thing. What do you expect? What do you still think it is the same script? Or can the people, the victims of Chitezi, get justice?
You know, first of all, I am glad that the one who fights for the poor and vulnerable, I think I'm going to try and get onto her list among the category of vulnerable. That she's here.
You hope to also
I am
fall
trying
in that
to. I will try to
category.
get on her list of vulnerable.
Vulnerability.
Yeah, because vulnerability. Yeah. But you see, Apollo is. Sometimes I am careful not to predict. Yeah, because you see, when things come right, when it comes round and face us, when I'm out and I meet some of the viewers, our followers, they say, but you are in the thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, but there is no thing.
You are in the thing.
Yeah, for you, how do you...
That possibly you learn about these things before.
Yeah,
we do.
but you see, this hair did not disappear by accident. It is just because I have been around.
Yeah, true.
But also, I think professionally, because I survive by being an information...
Consumer.
not just by information broker,
Oh.
by doing brokerage. Because you see, when you are doing brokerage of let's say plots, you just have to study the trends. You say, yes, this land here will cost this. If I get to these people and tell them this, they will come and buy. I should not take them during the rainy season because the road is very bad, they will be stuck. So I wait for when it is dry and I take them. If the land is in Chisenyi, when it has rained, you don't take them. You first wait for the water to drain. So it's the same. When you have been in these processes of managing information, you kind of learn trends. So that's why unity will be arrested. There will be camera work, and then the case will go. I don't want to seem like I want them followed up whenever one of them is my student in journalism. But you see, Apollo, what has changed in the superstructure of Uganda that would then give me the thinking that that script has changed? Yes, it is for me. If I saw a change in the superstructure of things, I would say, okay, the script is going to be different. But I don't see a change in the superstructure. In Yankore we say, that you can come, they can come and do a robbery, break into a warehouse, rob and put things on a road and go. Then 1 hour later, when you are passing, you see an open warehouse, you say, I can also take this grain which has fallen on the floor. And then the police comes, you will be the thief.
You'll be the real.
You'll be the one they have found. When you listen to Werike, and he starts telling you that the problem of Chitezi was known, documented from 2013, probably before, because the predictions of the capacity of Chitezi was known. The consequences of action this or inaction that were known. So we are dealing with science. We are not. It's not speculative. And so that's 20. Let's take 2013 from Dr. Werike as the baseline. So how many years is it?
Yeah.
Almost
10.
So if you have Chisaka, who has been there, I don't know how long.
Yeah, she was appointed executive director in 2020.
Yeah, and then you say she has killed people. Because me, I understand manslaughter as killing people. And you come and say she has killed, how many? I mean,
35.
Oh yeah, she has killed 35. I said here that for me, I doubt that number. I think there are more people who died than 35. I have, and I can defend that thinking. So you say Chisaka has killed 35 people. The lawyers will probably go and be legalistic. But for me, as a person who has been here as an observer, if you have been for the last 5 years having Chitezi on the KCCA budget, and the Ministry of Finance calls it this very annoying phrase I keep saying, unfunded priority. There is no way something can be a priority and it's unfunded. If it's unfunded, it's not a priority. It is very simple. And then you say, oh yeah, but we didn't give you money, which we needed to deal with this situation, but you are responsible for the consequences. So where is the other one? Who didn't give the money? Where is that one?
We haven't looked into the IGG's report, which implicated these officials, but for them who have been in office for 4 years, since 2020, like Dorothy Chisaka, and here a tragedy befalls us and people die. Don't you find a level of negligence? For instance, there was an opportunity to resign. If at all the government is not providing the necessary funding for such a project. I don't know.
No, but you have taken me away from my argument. I have not. You see, when you put me in the gymnastics of the IGG and focusing on Chisaka, you are diverting me from my argument. I have not defended Chisaka.
Okay.
I am telling you that when you don't look at the superstructure, then the collapse of a structure cannot be properly explained. Yes, if you come and you say that this building was leaking, that's why it's collapsed. But why was it leaking in the first instance? Yeah. So if you say the supervising engineer has no problem because there was an engineer on site. But so where is the supervising engineer? For them, where are those? And so we will keep. So we need to deal with the symptoms. When you are sick, you need to deal with the symptoms. but you must deal with the causes. Otherwise, you will have the symptoms recurring.
Recurring, true.
And that's what we are doing. We are dealing with the symptoms. And we keep doing this, and we all accept to be led into the movement, the symptom dealing with movement. We all go into the symptom dealing movement, and we are satisfied.
Okay.
That's why I was telling you that for me, at that time of the Mabati, it would be camera work.
And what about this time?
Let's wait. Time will tell. I have told you that for me, I have no reason why I think it should be different, because the superstructure
It's the same.
is still the same.
Thank you so much, Richard. And I like the boldness now that you exhibit today, because
But still he has edited.
last week you were very fearful that a club may fall.
Yeah,
anytime on your head.
because you see, okay, let my sister go.
Well, thank you so much, Richard. Let me hear from you, Dr. Sylvia. And luckily, what I did tell our viewers, you served as a magistrate at one point. At least I know about that. Looking at this charge of manslaughter, I don't know if it would be going into, we call it sub judice?
Exactly.
Yes. But now you know your limits. You know where you will
I
stop.
don't know. When you begin to discuss a case in court,
Yeah.
you're already entering into a zone of sub judice.
You can make your submission well aware of the limits. What do you think? Will, in your estimation, do you think the people of Chitezi, and looking at the trajectory this case is taking, will ever see justice? The victims especially.
Okay. I'm going to be very, very cautious, Apollo, because once a case goes into the court, you cease public discussion about it, especially in so far as it may cause biases and partialities. But taking the KCCA officials in court, we also have to look at the intention. The intention of the authorities or the prosecutor or any other is to see that someone somewhere was offended, and someone caused that offense, and therefore there has to be a responsibility point. Accountability. And remember, criminal cases, it is not the complainant is behind, you know, call them in behind doors, but there's someone going to process their matter, and that is the state.
The state.
So it becomes Uganda versus
Dorothy Chisaka.
and others. Now the question is, the outcome of the court, it will either lead to a conviction and serving sentence. The victim, you asked me the question, will the victim get justice?
In your estimation.
So if, for example, there is a conviction and the suspects are sentenced, will that be sufficient for the woman there who is now homeless, or the man who is homeless, or the youth who is nowhere? Will it achieve justice for them? Yes, they will say, yes, those who did not care are behind bars, but I'm still homeless. Is that justice?
Oh.
So justice is in the hands of the affected, the survivor, the victim. What justice do they want in this scenario? It would be that probably they want compensation right now. They want to be brought back, the people whom they lost their lives, they would want to see, because those were bread earners, some of them were fathers, some of them were mothers. They would want to see their lives restored. And for me, the starting point, without appearing so judgmental, would have been for the government of Uganda and whoever is responsible to first look for resources.
Yeah.
And compensate or even relocate the affected victims. And then we could go. Of course, even this angle is good in case there is someone who really is criminally liable, because the issue is criminally liable. It's not about liability. Because there is what we call civil liability that lifts the veils and takes it to whoever is responsible, maybe the office of the Attorney General, etc. But here, criminally liable. Before we go criminally liable, what about these victims who are still landless, who are still not having anywhere to go? So if we are talking about victim I mean justice for the victim, I would want to see, and this is what my colleagues have talked about, where we take public responsibility. First and foremost, we didn't see anything to do with a public apology coming from the responsible officers or from the responsible government officials, including these ones who have been what? Remanded.
Yeah, but an apology, a public apology would directly implicate them.
No, no.
It's more like,
they call it take personal responsibility. You know, when we hold these offices, we hold them in trustee. So a statement can come and say, didn't we see that there was that landslide? We saw it all. Didn't we know that, like we've mentioned that in the plans and everything, something had to be done, and probably the resources
it can't be
not
presented
allowed.
as evidence that you
It is not
actually
evidence.
apologized
It's
and-
a statement that I take. We are very sorry, and we take public responsibility for what has happened. We are going to do whatever it takes to. You don't do that apology as alone as KCCA or any other. It is like from the leaders. There has to have been something to appease those who have been what? Affected. But also something like responsive reaction that takes into consideration those that are suffering. And also the fact that in Uganda we have become more firefighters. We act after a problem, and yet the problem, we know it, but we procrastinate. We take our time, and before we know it, there is a casualty, a very big pandemic, what do you call it, tragic happening, and then that's when we remember to act. So for me, if there was that kind of statement that would have come up, and probably, for, like they've mentioned, some of the leaders take responsibility and resign, but which we don't have here as a culture, as Ugandans. We don't have that culture of taking responsibility. We're always having reasons and excuses.
Actually, I was thinking about it. Like you're saying, if these officials made a public apology,
yes, a
they will
statement.
be then asked to resign.
Which is okay.
Perhaps that's what they feared.
Which is
and they
okay.
tried-
These
tried to
offices
avoid.
are not the ultimate end, which is okay. For as long as I know that I'm doing that in the best interest of all Ugandans, I would still step down if they insist that I step down. But the challenge here, people fear. What I had immediately when we had the Kitezi issue was telling people, you came into the the vicinity of where we dump things, you need to move 1 meter, ABCD. Those are the statements that we are coming out, and people were saying, really, is this what we expect right now when we're in this kind of calamity? So I think for me, the justice we are looking here at structural violence, structural issues beyond individual, failure to act by whoever is supposed to act, including those who are releasing resources. If there are those who are corrupt, those who ate the money, now that is another element, and that is subject to evidence. Those who did not act, if documents are on people's desks and there were letters and everything, and somebody was piling and piling and piling, that is negligence leading to causing death. And so it becomes a criminal matter, but that is subject to the ingredients of the charge sheets and etc. But also what I want you to understand in criminal law, and that comes back, is it camera, is it what? In criminal law, we all need to know, even the public that is now waiting to see whether these suspects will come out to be convicted, etc. It is beyond reasonable doubt that you are responsible. Once they look at all the ingredients of those particular whatever charges, you are beyond reasonable doubt, and the onus is on the prosecution, not the accused person. So the onus is on the prosecution to bring all the evidence that is going to put me, because you mentioned you were magistrate, me who is the judicial officer handling this matter, that I will look at all the evidence that has been, and beyond sina amukale kankosene kigambo akakunkuna konna omuntu ono yaziza omusango guno. That's when I will convict.
You convict.
So you will find that these people will bring up their case, they will bring their evidence, and the defense will come and will begin to throw what we call we call them contradictions in their statements, the documents that they are bringing, and before you know it, there is doubt in the mind of the judicial officer, and the person will be
set free.
Set free. And so we shall say the people of Kitezi did not get justice. The officers were taken to court, but you see, the court released them. The court was not.
So it is possible for all these things to happen. What we are seeing,
Yes.
arraignment in court,
Yes.
remand,
Yes.
and everything, evidence, the
Yes.
trial starts.
Yes,
But
and they'll be acquitted.
eventually,
They'll
they
be
walk
acquitted.
out scot-free.
Scots free. And then now, where is the justice for the people of Kitezi? So it gets us back that the justice should come when we are first looking at their current needs right now. What has happened? They lost lives. Those lives requires to be compensated. Who is going to compensate? Corrective. This is a government issue. This is a state issue. Funds should be provided, and adequate funds, not just
Thank you.
tokenism. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. And viewers, now you can be part of the discussion. Send in your comments and observations. The number we run on the screen. Send via WhatsApp and SMS. Tell us what you think about these events as we try to pursue justice for the victims of Kitezi, looking at the trajectory this case is taking after the former KCCA bosses have been remanded and arraigned in court, slapped with charges and remanded until 4th October. That is 2 weeks in jail. From now, that's when they return back to court.
Yes, but I wonder also why they're not getting bail. Because I must also comment on that.
Yeah, because yesterday, the presiding magistrate said the time.
Okay.
Because
I
of
think
time,
I
they
think
could
now
not,
also that is sometimes a
it was
tactic.
already 4.
That is a tactic of CID sometimes. Take them very late
Actually, that they
so that they can be
arrived at
remanded.
10 in the morning, but the court sat at 4 in the
Maybe the
afternoon.
judicial officer was not around.
And eventually they were told there is no time for your bail application
Tactical.
to be heard, and they were sent
And
on.
that's what I was saying. You see, you mentioned something very important, Doctor. Both of you are doctors, so I have to be not to confuse the interviewers.
You call me Sylvia.
Yeah. You see, you talked about something very important. That word is called intention. Yeah. This to say that the judicial officer will have no reasonable doubt. Why then would you go to prosecute if you don't have adequate evidence? So what is the intention? So for me, that's why I say, when I say I make my predictions, those are the things that inform what my thinking. That the intention is not to convict. It never was, right from the beginning. That's why I talk about cameras. The intention was cameraric. So when you have cameraric intentions, then conviction is not part of your objectives at the end. Yeah. So
Thank you. Thank you, Richard.
so then people will not appear on Tuesday. Because then you'll be forced to give them bail on Wednesday. They must appear on Friday afternoon. And at least spend a week and be produced. There is what you call that one. So let's see this gymnastics. I don't really want to, but we are going to see this gymnastics.
Okay, Dr. Gerard, as we conclude on this matter, Dr. Sylvia raised the issue of compensation for the victims directly. What I remember, the families were given 5 million
That is not.
each.
No, that was not compensation.
And,
That was Mabugo.
That was Mabugo.
Contribution
Okay.
to Barrio,
Okay.
not
They were
compensation.
given 5 million each, and I don't see, I don't see, from what I read and what I know, any process to have these people compensated. And here,
But they have been arrested.
well, the officials have been arrested.
No, the people were arrested. Part of them.
Which people?
Those Chitese people.
Eh,
They were arrested.
the victims.
You carried the news here.
Okay, you can speak about that compensation.
Actually, I want to confirm what Richard is saying.
The last time I heard, they were still in tents, in makeshift.
Yeah, but
shelters.
they were given an ultimatum to leave. And I saw a minister for disaster preparedness, Lydia Nabe, who went there and gave them, I think, rice and cooking oil. And then they were given an ultimatum to leave. And then there were some proposals by some KCCA officials that the land that had been procured somewhere in Mukono for KCCA, which in Dundu, which was not used, probably there should be, a process to allocate them some space so that they can go and construct there and they are able to reconstruct their lives. This has not been done.
Yeah, but
And,
you see, I'm sorry to interrupt. You see, there are times when
It's okay.
I get a bit. The approach now that was used to arrest them was NEMA. That the NEMA is restoring whatever it is restoring. The land in Dundu, this one I can again say, it is going to be partly shared by the officials who are supposed to relocate these people. We will come back here and talk about an investigation of the officials who are supposed to bring. So you will have ghost beneficiaries of the Dundu land. This one I can see. Anyway, sorry, Dr.
You see now, what Richard is emphasizing is creating us a very big problem. The mistrust, the distance between the people and the citizens. That for you, every time you promise something,
government and the citizens.
Yes. There's no action that is taken, or what is supposed to be given to them is taken by someone else. So it makes it very hard for citizens to believe government in any intervention that they want to do. And the trend has been ongoing. So for me, I strongly agree with Dr. Sylvia. As we pursue prosecution, let's ensure that the lives of these people are resettled, because we know that 35 bodies were gone. But government also admitted that there are people who are still missing, whose bodies have now decomposed inside there. Beyond recognition. These people had families, and these families have been registered. I don't believe that this would be a very big push on the budget of the government under the contingent fund. Because I saw we heard that about 600 people died of hunger in Karamoja, and billions of money were passed very quickly under emergency situation. And for goats, for iron sheets, I don't know how the iron sheets were going to help with hunger, but all these ended up in chaos. So with such a number of people, can't we really do something to ensure that we restore their lives, even as we hold the officials accountable?
Okay, I don't actually think this process to acquire land in Dundu and somewhere is part of compensation, because that is relocation. Because these people held, they had ownership on this land. They have been at in Kitezi. So that's not more like compensation. We are talking about people who lost their dear ones. They should be compensated. Even families should be compensated. Let me read the messages now. Good morning, Apollo and the panel. Chitezi problem cannot be resolved permanently if the politics still play in Kampala. I saw how the Lord Mayor quickly welcomed the IGG's letter stopping the activity ongoing at Chitezi landfill just because the investor was brought by the State Minister Chofa Togabye, who they are not at good terms. So to me, Chitezi problem cannot be solved if the KCCA executive and ministers put aside their political differences and focus on people of Kampala first. I am Abel Keru Ampumuza. Thank you so much, Abel Keru Akampumuza, an ardent viewer of this program. I actually invite you on at November 3rd. On November 3rd, we'll be holding we'll be having an anniversary, Salt Media anniversary at 10. So I invite you viewers to be part, like Akampumuza should be part of that that event, and the dialoguers will be also in attendance. We can have that that interaction. Send in your comments, like Moses Chi, yes, Chi. Okay.
I think Abel mentioned something.
Okay.
about in relation to the investor who has already taken over the Chitezi area.
I saw the IGG's
I don't know where the investor was standing.
talking, I mean, speaking about this Ghanaian
Ghana, some
company.
Ghana guy.
Yes. And the IGG's office has intervened to stop the process. I mean, going forward.
Yeah,
So
because
there are still
in
other-
such circumstances, maybe there's no due diligence that has been done.
Yeah. He was
There is a violation of
that
procurement
the investor was handpicked.
laws, exactly. So at the end of the day, you may not be solving a problem. You may bring a quack.
So we are having a problem after a problem after a problem.
That is the superstructure he talked about.
I'll be going for a break, but when we return, you can also continue to engage the panelists in the studios on this particular issue and another issue we'll be introducing. Tell us what you think about the justice for the victims of the Chitezi landfill, whether you think these people will see justice, because at the end of it, all these processes are looking at how justice and accountability can be presented in one or another. In 1 minute, Richard, conclude.
Yeah.
Just 1 minute.
If you express surprise that the IGG has intervened in the procurement of a supposed solution to the Chitezi issue, then I don't know how to deal with you.
Okay.
You are surprised? I have been saying that we are going to have multiple investigations. Do you know the price of how this person, the Ghanaian, whatever company
the
is
Ghanaian
going to
investor.
check up on the amount of money that is in there? That amount of money is going to be revised upwards.
Oh.
Yes, it is not going to be adequate. So you look at the chain, and then you can understand what I was talking about Chitezi. Anyway, I am treating my minute.
I think now we can only wait. What can we do?
Yeah, I meant
We can
it's
wait.
a book in the Bible.
Let's go for a break. When we return, the dialogue will be looking at the decision made by opposition NUP supporters to plead guilty on charges related to terrorism, serious charges that can fetch a death sentence, and possibly what it means to the judicial landscape in this country after allegations have also come out that possibly this guilty plea now is another tool to settle political scores. We go for a break, return after this short while.